This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Loose on the Lead, live from the Saratoga backstretch on what is turning out to be a sunny Sunday morning. Seth Merrill from Equidaily.com, joined as I am every Sunday at this time by Steve Bick from SiriusXM's At the Races. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Seth. Good morning, everybody.
And the day after a big day here.
They're all big.
40,
Some are bigger than others.
Yeah, this is 46,000 people, I believe. 10 million in handle on track. And I drove in... wasn't on television yesterday morning, so I floated in, I don't know, after the 4th or 5th, and came back here to our set to park. So I was kind of coming up the back streets out this way. Man, there were cars parked up and down every street.
Yeah.
Every lawn was full. It was a rocking crowd and continued into the night last night here in Saratoga. So it's a big day up here, highlighted by some really good racing as well.
Well, Travers always the highlight of the summer, and of course the weekend itself, starting with the Personal Ensign. You know, one of the things that having the Personal Ensign on Friday kind of did was not relegate it, but it is going to be a slight afterthought, and it shouldn't be, because a spectacular performance from Close Hatches, whether you highly rate wet tracks or not, that was something to behold. And she clearly marks herself as, right now, until we see Beholder come back, the filly and mare division leader, the distaff division leader. We'll see what it means down the road for Princess of Silbar. Great racing, very straightforward. When it was all said and done, really, I mean, there were no mammoth surprises other than the Travers result. And the Travers itself, we're going to have Jimmy Jerkins later. We'll also talk about it with Len Shulman from the Blood Horse. And we're going to be joined at the bottom of the hour this morning by Clark Brewster. And Clark had a tremendous day yesterday with the 2 wins, including Bayard, that was instantly one of the most impressive 2-year-old males of the Saratoga meet. So plenty to talk about in advance of today's New York Showcase Day, first time at the Spa for the New York breds, and many of them were born and raised close by.
Yeah, and with Artemis Agritera running as well as she did,
Bromans.
we'll take a look at that. Yeah, and that, we said on the Handicappers Report, that is becoming one of the stories of the meet.
The Bromans?
Because they have at least 2 today that are live, and I think they're 2 back in the owners' standings.
They are, and you've also got the Generazio story, which we've brought up here as well on the show, and Jimmy Ryerson and Chris Clement sending out Patricia Generazio's horses that, a lot of them are just backyard bred types. I mean, some New Jersey breds and her New York breds. Disco Rico, the DeRico family stalwart stallion for not a lot of money. Don't know if he's going to stand again next year. He's been having hoof issues, but I would think, for me, Generazio and Bromans are the ownership story, although Clark Brewster has had his share of wins too, and we'll talk to him later.
And he's got a nice one in this afternoon
similar
as
to
well.
him today. Yeah.
All right, let's go through and take a look at some of the other stakes yesterday. We'll save the Travers for when we have Lenny in here, and of course Jimmy as well. But kick things off, taking a look at the Grade 2 Ballston Spa, $250,000 on the line. They're on the grass at 1 1/16, and it's going to be a late run from the number 3 Abaco. Jose Ortiz on board. Strathnather, a horse. I like Strathnather and Philimby and played them in some picks. I had Abaco right underneath and didn't use that one in the picks, so I kind of kicked myself. Number 7, Philimby at 3-5. Wow, what a disappointing effort this was, running last in the field of 6. But again, a nice late run there. You can see the Phipps colors on the outside from the number 3 Abaco.
Well, and the question becomes coming out of this. This was only 1 1/16. So the first thing you wonder is 2 things: is Philimby better off with the mile distance, which is all we've seen her at in North America, and who knows exactly how that turf set with her. Even though she won on heavy and soft going in Europe, there's no guarantee she liked that ground. And at no point in there did she look either comfortable or like she was gonna be competitive in here. And so when she stopped running, basically off the turn, at that point it wasn't a surprise. And of course, this was really a negative counterbalance for Juddmonte, for Garrett O'Rourke and company, to what we saw from closed hatches. So it was penthouse to outhouse in 24 hours for the familiar
And she
Juddmonte
adds an
side.
interesting kind of twist to today's card, too, a Day at the Spa, because she had been right with Day at the Spa in the last race. So now you're looking at the line through that one and kind of scratching your head a little bit as well. But it was a nice, again, late run from Abaco, and I kind of kicked myself when I didn't, I had that one in the mix, but my betting yesterday, I was handicapping pretty well. Betting early in the day, I was all right. Late in the day, I just made a couple of mistakes. All right, a little later on, don't look at me that way.
Should have gone to the bar.
The grade one I did later on. I'm on betting. A little later on. The grade one King's Bishop, $500,000. Always one of the best races of the year. 7 furlong King's Bishop, and we're going to take a look at the stretch run of that as well. And the Big Beast. Now there's one I did use on top and used in my mix. Number 7, the Big Beast. Again, a nice late run to get it done at 5-2. Coup de Grace was the 2-1 favorite. Number 8, Coup de Grace will finish third. But this was a nice performance by the number 6 horse as well. Very, very lightly raced. Fast Anna. Had Dave Littman on with me at the end of the week. He thought Fast Anna was really intriguing coming up off the 2 races and 2 nice daylight wins for Kathy Ritvo down at Gulfstream. Nice bullet work coming in as well. And it was a very good effort. And only the 3rd career start from Fast Anna. But the Big Beast, I think, has now defined himself also being lightly raced. That was only his 5th career start as a bona fide sprint stakes quality runner.
It's going to be interesting to see what exactly the Leblongs, and there's another great ownership story of the meet with Tony Dutrow. The Leblongs have just had a parade of successes, and it'll be interesting to see. I asked Javier Castellano after the interviews, about what he perceives in terms of the horse's ability to keep going, and what a 2-turn prospect there might be for the Big Beast. Right now, I think Tony Dutrow is very satisfied to campaign him the way he is. The performance of Fast Anna, who, for those of you that remember Dreaming of Anna, her dam, this is different, obviously, than what she was, but this was very impressive. And for Kathy Ritvo, what a nice pick-me-up, given Mucho Macho Man's retirement. And right away, she's got another grade 1 performer in the barn. So for those that had anticipated that Kathy Ritvo wouldn't necessarily be training top stake horses again after Mucho Macho Man, clearly she is, and quite capably. This horse ran a tremendous race, and in much the same way that later Wicked Strong is going to be on the pace, rather surprisingly, in the Travers and gets beat. Fast Anna on this pace, setting it very courageously in a 3rd career start. This was a great performance, and at the same time, we also get, I thought, confirmation of the Big Beast, how impressive he's going to continue to be, because he was very rateable. He's now shown, Seth, the ability in that win in the allowance from down in the 1 hole. When he needs to use his speed, he can, but he isn't one of these horses that demands the lead. So this looks like a absolute star, not just in the making. You win the Grade 1 King's Bishop, you're a star. And Tony Dutrow having a whale of a meet. Not done yet either. They still got a few more before Labor Day.
Winner on here, and of course later on in the Travers, Javier Castellano put together a big day. And Brian that earlier said, as we were talking about it, Ira Ortiz made a little bit of a move, and then Javier Castellano kind of stepped up his game on Saturday.
Burst away with the 6-win performance. The Big Beast, one disappointment obviously in this race.
Wildcat Red.
Well, Wildcat Red, and for those of you, we've talked repeatedly, and I've mentioned Mike Welsh and Mike Vesey in DRF's Clocker Report. Mike Welsh wrote yesterday that he saw Wildcat Red all winter in Florida. He said Wildcat Red did not look as sharp here as he did all winter long at Gulfstream, and in fact, maybe one of these horses that's a real South Florida horse. Now, I suppose some people might think that CZ comes away out of this performance, finishing last. He wasn't beaten all that much, really. I mean,
Had some trouble too.
It had some trouble and had a rotten trip, and so I'll tell you who also had a terrible trip. Really, was Myositis Dan, who I was trying to play around with Fast Anna and with the Big Beast. He kind of ran up on heels and checked up, and race was pretty much over there on the backstretch heading into the turn. So some of those typical things, but I wouldn't give up on CZ going forward. Nick Zito said the right thing. He said, I'm just going to scratch when I draw the one hole in races like this from now on. It's just not, it's so difficult to run from down inside going 7/8, although Artemis Agritera, she didn't find that a problem the way she ran, which we're going to look at next in the
take a look at it. Just before we move on, I do want to mention that I spoke with Mike Welch, had him on Thursday, and we talked a little bit about this race, and he thought Fast Anna was interesting as well. But we talked a little bit about Mike Ritvo, who had ridden this horse in the first couple of starts, and he's becoming a nice story as an apprentice, the son of Kathy Ritvo down in Florida. And as Mike said, you come up to Saratoga for a Grade 1. Probably was a tough decision for her, but if you get a chance for Johnny Velasquez, you got to do that. All right, let's take a look at the Ballerina, which again was the race just prior to the Travers yesterday, and it was a very, very good performance for Artemis Agritera and a very, very good day for the New York bred program as the New York bred 3-year-old wins pretty convincingly yesterday. One of the most impressive performances, certainly in the stakes races yesterday for Artemis Agritera. Rajiv Mirage on board, had him on the other day, and he's putting together a nice few days here as the meet starts to wind down. Number 1 will be Artemis Agritera. The comeback effort for My Miss Aurelia continues. This is her second start off the comeback, and it was a decent second place finish in here. Number 5, Willet, who is taking a lot of attention from folks, will run third. But again, a nice, impressive runaway performance from the New York bred 3-year-old against older.
Well, and she, much like you see with Fast Anna and in the King's Bishop and with the Big Beast, she is absolutely masterfully ridden in here, and I was really impressed with this. And I didn't know what to make of her coming back this year. I wasn't sure where she was going to pick up, but this is a huge win for Mike Hushen. I cannot stress how much of a breakthrough I think it is for him to win a Grade 1 like this, and to also demonstrate the ability to take a horse that went to the sidelines with an uncertain 3-year-old season ahead, and get her not just back but improve her. A 103 buyer for her, 98 for the Big Beast. So this was a tremendous effort, and very happy for Mike Hushen, who works hard, does a great job, and clearly, can work with a horse at any level.
And again, the aforementioned Broman's a homebred from them.
Absolutely.
And so, as I said earlier, becoming one of the stories of the meet. Let's take a look at that leaderboard as far as the jockey standings. Talked about that a little bit. Irod made a little bit of a run at Javier this week, but Javier spurted away yesterday. It is now Javier Castellano 48 wins, Irod Ortiz 42, so he's 6 behind. And just mathematically, it starts to get a little dicey when we have 8 days of racing left, but I think it could be interesting. John Velasquez is in third with 30, Joel Rosario fourth with 27, the other Ortiz brother with 26 in the number 5 spot, and on the trainer side, Todd Pletcher sitting with 22, Chad Brown 16, Bill Mott at 12 right now. So Graham Motion, a nice meet with 10 wins himself, Rudy Rodriguez and Bruce Brown, and Bruce Levine with 9, Jimmy Jerkins after yesterday with 8 wins. So
the Bruce Brown portion of the equation is really very notable. I mean, Bruce Brown's had a spectacular meet. George Weaver, we kind of come to expect George to have these summers. This is a great showcase for Bruce Brown. I'm very happy for him, and you see him daily wheeling the babies around in the double carriage. It's kind of funny. Bruce is getting it all done on the family front and on the professional front. I'm very happy for him, his success, and of course Jimmy Jerkins. Look at that. fairly notable 20 starts, the 8 wins, including a Travers Exacta.
Yeah, the Jim Zacta and the Jim Dandy as well. So picks up a couple of the bigger races at the meet.
And the Curlin, the Jim Dandy, and and the Travers. Did you see the tweet from Rennig, who was the last trainer to send out a Travers Exacta?
It wasn't his father, was it?
No, Zito.
Oh, okay, all right.
Zito, just a couple, right? Just what, 5 or 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah. All right. And also, before we go to the break, want to mention, of course, out on the West Coast, it's a big day today. The Pacific Classic Grade 1 event, $1 million, mile and a quarter. Frack Daddy has been scratched, so keep that in mind. But Game On Dude, Clubhouse Ride, Toast of New York, the European who last was seen in the Belmont Derby, could be a little bit interesting, maybe on the synthetic. Won the UAE Derby earlier this year on the synthetic.
All his best races, his races at Kempton and at Wolverhampton. All of his synthetic races are outstanding. His turf races are a cut beneath. And I thought Toast of New York, Jamie Osborne coming back again, I thought that really signaled a message. I think he's going to run well. He's going to be 8, 10, 12 to 1. So I think he's worth using in there with Shared Belief. I mean, Shared Belief runs his
that's another good synthetic
race.
performer.
Yeah.
And after yesterday, he becomes intriguing because I think he's now, a 3-year-old who stands a shot at giving a little bit of a challenge to California Chrome for the Eclipse. I don't know whether now the East Coast. I said, well, if you ran the table from here.
Maybe.
I would
yeah,
think
outside.
so.
Yeah, no, a little bit. Outside chance. Outside chance.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to start it today, though. But also on the cards, the Pat O'Brien 7 furlongs, Grade 2 event, $250,000. Fed Biz, Golden Cents in there.
And
so
both on NBC.
starting at 8 o'clock, I believe. All right, we'll head to our break. When we come back, we'll head into the guest lineup. Stay tuned. All of that right after this.
All of what?
Go Zephyr kicking clear, and Go Zephyr is pulling away impressively.
Hysterical Lady, Ginger Punch to win it.
And it's Wilco in front, and he's going to pull off a huge upset here.
But it's Round Pond going on to take the distaff.
Awesome again. Sire of 10 Grade 1 winners, 4 Breeders' Cup champions, and 4 multimillionaires, standing at Adena Springs.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what can be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Sovereign Stable.
Partnerships.
Ownership.
Winning.
Sovereign Stable.
The anticipation.
The excitement.
The thrill.
Top-level racing.
Sovereign Stable.
Join us in the morning on the backstretch of Saratoga Racecourse to experience the magic of thoroughbred ownership. Call 866-329-2WIN to meet trainers, jockeys, and watch sovereign horses on the track.
We're back. Loose on the lead. Bada boom. Happy to welcome Lenny Shulman from the Blood Horse. Lenny, welcome back to Loose on the Lead.
Thank you. As you can see, I've stepped up my sartorial game a little bit. Not to your level, of course, but this is almost washed today.
For you, this is almost pressed.
I am coming from the final taping of And They're Off, so I am dressed. I'm dressed for the occasion.
The final, the literal final taping.
The literal final one. Yeah, not a wet eye in the house today during that taping.
Dry eye, I think dry eye.
Oh, that's right, dry eye. Right, yeah. I meant wet eye. No, it was great. It was great to see Steve, and it was a good show. Yeah.
How many years? For those of you that never have seen it, for some reason, if you've never seen an internet,
there's nobody who hasn't seen it.
Everybody's seen And They're Off, brought to you by Darby Dan, and
5+ years.
5
years.
Video,
it started right
video
before
show.
the Derby 5 years ago.
And it leaves us, much the way the Honeymooners and Your Show of Shows. This will go down as landmark entertainment in internet history.
Yeah, I think Dallas's final ratings matches, final ratings in this, it's going to be to the wire. It's going to be a photo.
Who killed Askin?
we covered that in the show, actually. Tune in. We have the 8 reasons why Askin's finished. We couldn't come up with 10. We had to settle for 8.
It was very popular, though. I'm sad to hear the news, but I know the first few years, Stable Boy was on board. Stable Boy moved on. You keep up with Stable Boy?
Yes, absolutely. Still was at the University of Kentucky now. He's eligible for the basketball team, so we're rooting for him to make it as a point guard.
Will he make some kind of comeback in the future, even without the show? Will he come back on President's Day for the
He
Lincoln
has. He
impression?
came back last President's Day for Lincoln. We cannot stop the Lincoln impression, the honest Stable Boy.
The good news for those of you that loved And They're Off, much like from All in the Family when Edith died and Archie Bunker's place survived. Lenny's place is going to survive as the next generation.
Yeah, it's more like the Jeffersons. I'm going to have Wheezy on with me, but no, we are doing a new show called Lenny's Place. It starts in September, and I'll see if I can carry this on my own, but it should be fun, so we're looking forward to it.
Some format changes. So it's going to be some interviews.
Yeah, we're going to miss Steve, so yeah, I'm going to concentrate on some interviews, a little stand-up comedy. Will be part of it, and the top 10 lists and a lot of humor.
So you'll be stealing from everyone.
Steal from the best. The secret to success: you steal from the best.
Take my trifecta,
please. You know that. You dress like him now. It's exactly
I hear all about it.
You steal from
Okay,
Lenny.
I'm
not so sure.
Oh, easy. Lenny, we obviously have a Travers to talk about and a 3-year-old season that continues to move forward. And as always, I mean, there's always new faces that jump in at the quarter pole, as Trevor Denman would say.
Yeah.
And we ended up yesterday with as implausible an ending. Jimmy Jerkins, who very quietly, and he's going to join us later this morning, is stoic. Is the son of a legend in the game, and goes about his business so professionally. For Jimmy to get this kind of a result, to have his 2 entrants, hurtling toward the wire, quite a finish yesterday in the Travers.
Yeah, it really was. And we talk about And They're Off going off the air, but I have to mention Tom Durkin is going to be retiring in another week, and what a great call during the race, and then right after the race, when the whole world is waiting for that photo to come up, he comes on the PA system and he goes, "Who won the Travers? Jimmy Jerkins." And you really were expecting him to call the photo, and he came with that, and what a great call and what a great wit he has. But, for Jimmy to have, 2 separate horses win the 2 big 3-year-old races up here, that's a hell of a feat right there, That's even tough for them. The same horse come back and win it, so kudos to him. I mean, I must say, I threw out the 3 favorites in the race.
I was trying to do something similar.
People don't understand that Monmouth is an entirely different animal than Saratoga, and particularly if you're a front-running horse and win that race the way Byron did on the front end. This is a different animal here. But it hurt what I'm getting at, not that I'm a genius. You threw out the 3 favorites, and I still hit the wrong long shot, which really makes it hurt a lot more.
Well, talk a little bit, though, about this, and Seth and I haven't talked about it yet, and we'll ask Jimmy Jerkins as well. The way in which this race unfolded, and we're not going to we'll watch the start and the whole race with Jimmy, but you talk about Durkin, he was as stunned as everybody else that here were the 2 obvious favorites that clearly went into the race not wanting to allow Bayern any kind of an easy lead. But it's one thing to be kind of stalking. It's another thing to be challenging Bayern for the lead. And going into the turn, you could almost smell that a collapse was a potentiality.
Well, the whole thing, Bayern looked like he beat the gate open, number one. I mean, he was out there by 3 lengths before the gates opened. It looked like. So it was going to take an effort to do what you just said, to stay up there with him. This wasn't a horse who started a step slow, didn't get away. I mean, he was out of there right now, so it was gonna take something out of him to do that. I think the right move, of course, 20/20 hindsight. But again, you have a 1.25 miles at Saratoga, much different animal than the race at Monmouth. You know, Bobby Franco, God bless him, used to tell me about how did he win the Pacific Classic, which is being run every year with milers. Every single year, the skimmings and those the missionary ridges, they were milers. He would win the 1.25 mile Pacific Classic with every single year. And I asked him, how the hell do you do that? He said, it's a trick track. He goes, it says it's a 1.25 miles. It does not play like a 1.25 miles track. And the same thing with the Haskell at Monmouth every single year. Baffert will ship his speedball in. He'll win for fun. But it just doesn't translate to a 1.25 miles at Saratoga a month later. So I was one who did not like Bayern much in here. Getting back to your point, I think, you know, the Jacques Santonis and Wicked Strong probably better served to run their races rather than be overly concerned with Bayern, given the fact that 1.25 miles is a lot different animal.
Yeah, I picked Bayern on top just on the kind of the talent factor. But if you go back to the Preakness, you go back to the Derby trial, you had to wonder if maybe those two races just didn't kind of fall into him, one being at Monmouth. But yeah, he came out of the gate, I said, oh, this is beautiful. 100 yards later, I was like, oh, this isn't going to work out.
And Steve Haskin came up with the stat that I believe the last Haskell Travers double was 49ers, so this does not happen a lot.
Well, point given. Point given.
Well, Haskin's an idiot then.
luckily he's in the car on the way back to Jersey. So he won't hear about this for at least 48 hours.
That's why I kicked them off the show to begin with. I'm sick and tired of it.
You talk about the 1.25 miles, and I bring this up when they run the Alabama, and again you can bring it up with the Travers, and we spend so much time leading up to Derby, and granted it's earlier in the year, it's spring.
Yeah.
The 3-year-olds are only 4 months, into their 3-year-old campaign, and this is obviously, later in the season and everything. However, a 1.25 miles is still always going to be completely different. And when you have a horse like Tonalist, and to some extent with Wicked Strong, when you take them out of their, out of the element and try to change their running style, you made them susceptible. I know a lot of people are all over Rajiv Maragh this morning, for looking around and looking for the competition and so on and so forth, and maybe easing up at a certain point late in the game and not even realizing that VE Day was bearing down. That's all well and good. I mean, it seemed like Wicked Strong had done everything he could at that point. But when you talk about a horse like, let's say, a Mr. Speaker or a VE Day, those are types that are just going to keep running. Commissioner, when we get back to the Belmont and the 1.5 miles, these horses that run 24-3, 24-2, 24-4, those steady fractions, it's much different. And they're going to keep going at one pace while these other horses are coming forward and dropping back and getting tired and maybe moving too soon and so forth. And so you got to always remember, I think, from a handicapping standpoint, to kind of reshuffle the deck and remember that what works at the 1 1/8 here or anywhere else is going to be different at a 1.25 miles always.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker was the horse that I actually.
That's who I was trying too, and it looked mid-stretch like he was going to go by them all.
He was sitting right. Perfect. He left the 10-hole, got perfect position going into the first turn, sat beautifully. Durkin called him like he was making a move on the turn.
Exactly.
Maybe he doesn't like the dirt.
Well, no. I'll tell you what, and this is not a knock per se on Sugar, but if he was going to get beat, I was quite ready and prepared to accept, getting beat at 8-1 by not liking the dirt. Not liking the dirt wasn't it. He was short. I mean, if the race is a mile and an eighth, it's one thing. He absolutely flattened out and had no punch for the last eighth of a mile, and that I didn't expect to get beat that way.
Yeah, no, it was surprising, and it was disappointing. I think it hurts a little more when you throw the three favorites
and you
out,
still can't find
and then you hit the wrong long shot. It's a killer.
I used Viva Mallorca, Kid Cruz, and Mr. Speaker, and still couldn't.
Well, if you look at the two colors of VE Day and Viva Mallorca,
that's what Jimmy said.
Particularly with VE Day having dirt caked on him, which looked like the Whitney Brown coming down. I really thought it was the Mary Lou Whitney going to win the Travers 10 years after she did it with Verso. It would have been the story of the year up here for sure. And she was in attendance looking radiant. John Hendrickson was wearing the colors. It would have been a great story. I really thought that's who was winning the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your tie for it, it's the exact same colors.
Well, I didn't wear it in honor of that.
Artistic license, come on.
Are you colorblind?
A little bit.
Lenny Shulman of the Blood Horse, everybody, and his new show, Lenny's Place, bloodhorse.com. He does some writing, does a little little pecking on the keyboard.
Spare time.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Great to be here. And do we get the gift certificate?
You still get the Schnurra like no tomorrow.
That Harmon, I'm telling you, where is he? Look out. He's coming for you.
He's coming for lunch.
I know where you are. You're always at the rail. I see every race.
There you go. Here is Stadium Club certificate for Lenny. I tell you.
This is like the Wimbledon trophy, right? You get to hold it over your head.
Unbelievable.
He's going to take it back as soon as we go to break.
That's true, because Clark Brewster's joining us next, right. And he's the first time on Loose on the Lead. You were tired of.
He deserves it.
Back after this, Loose on the Lead from the backstretch at the Spa.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their Player Rewards program when wagering on Saratoga races? For more information, log on to CapitalOTB.com.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Labor Day Workout on September 6th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
I didn't want to get just any degree after high school.
Horse racing has always been my passion.
I was already a lawyer.
When I was young, my dad took me to the races. The sound of the crowd. I still remember.
I'm 40, and I don't want to stay in a career I don't love.
I want to follow my passion.
Follow your passion at the University of Arizona Racetrack Industry Program.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
We're back on Loose on the Lead on this Sunday morning, and absolutely delighted to have owner Clark Brewster join us. Had a outstanding day at Saratoga. You win 2 races on a Wednesday, it's one thing. It's still great. You win 2 on Travers Day. It's special. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a great day. I think second to Jimmy Jerkins, I had a good day yesterday.
Well, exactly. I suppose that's fair. One thing you certainly did with the first horse we're going to talk about, granted there was a tragedy involved in the 4th race in the maiden special, of course, with Ludacris breaking down, but meanwhile, up in front, here was your Bayard, and take it away, Clark, because second career start, and he was spectacular.
Number 7 horse.
Yes, Baird ran a great race. Steve had him on tilt, and Rosie rode him perfectly. I was impressed that they went up on the inside of him and had a horse on the outside, and he just relaxed very nicely. And when he hit the 16th pole and she tapped him a little bit, he just went on with it.
He, of course, came out of the competitive edge race. And so between him and today's agenda, it was pretty evident. And if you're from that school that says, the company that people are keeping, horses are keeping, they were the two keys. You get away at 8-1. I think you probably bet a little bit. And you had to feel just great the way he's traveling here. I mean, he's just so comfortable. And being outside obviously helps in this setting.
Steve Asmussen is an outstanding second start trainer. If he doesn't win the first time, watch out the second time. He did a great job. He had the horse ready. We got in a lot of trouble the first race, but probably couldn't have gone with competitive edge on that in that race. But he was ready here, and he ran a big number. He ran a 90 buyer figure, which was impressive.
And happened to set that number out early this morning, and was shocked that you were like me. You were kicking around at 4 a.m. That took me by surprise. Here he is galloping out, and talk about the acquisition and about his development.
Well, Barry Berkelhammer had bought him, and he was in Kerry Frommer's consignment at Florida, and then didn't get sold, and it was at the May sale. And Kerry had sold some horses for me as well. She's an outstanding horsewoman. And so when Steve and I saw him at the May sale, and we liked him a lot. He was Steve's #1 pick at that sale, and we were very pleased to get him at the price. And he's been an outstanding little horse.
Well, and Cherokee Jewel, the dam, I mean, she was a multiple stake winner. There was plenty of pedigree here, and Speightstown just keeps getting fast horses. It's just, a great, productive, ongoing sire, and for whatever reason, doesn't seem to get as much notoriety as he should.
After they win, they get a lot of attention.
There you go. There you go.
So he's just a real handy little horse, good to be around, very eager to train, and Steve's done a wonderful job. Steve and Scott Blasi with his horse.
$75,000, and that's a comfortable price range, and we'll talk a little bit more about just your general ownership interest, because you just seem to love it. I mean, you claim horses, you play the claiming game, you're willing to spend if there's something that catches your eye. Then you take a horse like this at a nice square price that's reachable really for any racing budget.
Well, I mean, I've been at the game a fair amount of time, but more recently, working with Steve and Scott, really trying to find the prospects to do well with, whether it be the claiming game or the young horse game. They're outstanding, and it's put me in some really nice spots.
Do you have any plans for Bayard already? I mean, obviously it's only the day after, but it was an impressive performance with a good number.
Yeah, the plan was if he comes out of the race well, there's a stake in California that Steve's pointing to that he thinks he'll do well in, and so we'll see how he comes up in the next few weeks. And
stay on this theme for a minute, because I was curious too, because we're going to watch a race in a minute from Remington yesterday, the Bartolo, and of course you're Oklahoma based and a prominent attorney, and you mentioned Steve Asmussen and Scott Blasi. You've been just a stalwart defender of theirs, and have helped them through the difficulties that were certainly foisted on them. In terms of the business and in terms of juxtaposing, work and play. Talk about spending the summer, because you've been here pretty much the whole campaign.
Right. We have a home here in Saratoga as well as living in Tulsa, but we're here for the summer, and I interact with that barn a fair amount. I'm usually over there in the mornings and see my horses go and see the hands-on care that they get there. So I'm obviously a big defender, not only from the standpoint of understanding what's going on behind that operation, but Steve and Scott as people. They're just outstanding.
Talk a little bit about how you got into the game.
I got into the game in the late 80s when Remington Park in Oklahoma City was built, and it was like 89, and we bought some horses up here and took them down there and got involved in the game. And there's a huge learning curve. I'm still trying to achieve it, but it comes from experience and seeing things work and then seeing things not work and having the perseverance to stick with it.
Remington and Scott Wells is a great story to me, and of course now the Chickasaw Nation involved there and at Lone Star, and Scott managing both. And if there's an underrated racetrack executive in the game, Scott Wells probably is it. But Remington is one of the few places when you go, the casino portion is integrated with the racing. There's a big viewing area in the casino that overlooks the racetrack. They don't obscure the racing and hide it like they do in a lot of venues. And there's also the culture of the horse in Oklahoma that really works. And it's one of the reasons that Remington is, for those who've never been, it is as pleasant a facility and as enjoyable a visit as there is. I was there for Classics Night at the Oklahoma Breeders' Invitation a few years ago and just loved it.
Yeah, the Remington's a great little racetrack. It was built in the tradition of like an Arlington Park in the late 80s by the DeBartolos. They did a beautiful job with the track, and Scott Wells is a very good executive. His dad, of course, won the All-American Ted Wells, and I think 64 with Savannah Jr.
Look at you.
So the long tradition of horse racing there with Scott. And we enjoy running there. It's our track that we can look at in the fall. And Steve I've been the leading trainer there for a number of years, and has just a really good operation there with Darren Fleming as his top assistant.
We're gonna, I think, watch from last night the DeBartolo, and you weren't favored in here, and it looks a little bit like you've got an opportunity for the winner. Tell us what was going on in last night.
Well, Galico, a warm front colt that we have, was in the race. He's won his last 4 races. And Steve's position was he deserves a chance in this race. Mike Maker had one in there. Ron Moquette had Bin Bam. We knew it was going to be a tough race. But Galico led all the way and got caught at the wire, ran second. It would have been just even a more thrilling day for us to have won 3, 2 at Saratoga and the stake at Remington. But we'll take the second. I think if it would have been a mile, he'd been awful tough to catch. But the mile to 16th was a little much for him against Bin Bam.
Well, and Bin Bam, talk about a venerable campaigner. I mean, he's been around forever, and watching here, and you're going to be just overhauled at the wire, and it's almost you wonder if he had seen him, maybe if they had been a little maybe they come out a little bit to him. Sometimes they don't see him come.
Well, yeah, he gave us his all, and he got beaten.
Can't complain.
Where'd you watch it?
I watched it from my home.
We're going to turn our attention to yesterday's 8th as well, and here we move to the grass, and Clark, Shining Copper, wins for the second time at the meet, but first time for you. You grabbed this 4-year-old, and he pays handsome dividend right away.
Yeah, it was an excellent claim. Steve and I kind of reached a consensus on dropping him, on this claim. It was a shake, but we won the shake, and he was an outstanding claim. We thought we could come right back and win an allowance race with him, and it turned out to be true.
Todd Pletcher had taken over the training on Shining Copper, and you look at this race that he comes out of, that 50,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime, and when you drop on a horse like this, you're hoping they finish second so that they save the condition, but in the meantime, you raise him right up and go ahead and put him right into this allowance, and here we're going to watch. He's on the front end, and you could tell almost all the way into the turn, and he wasn't going to get caught.
Beautiful ride by Rosie Napravnik, really was. We liked this horse. He had some back class. He was 3rd in a Grade 3 Generous. He had a nice break, and then came back and was with Todd Pletcher for his last 3 races, so he was fresh and ready to go, and we thought it would be a great claim. It turned out to be true.
And career top, it makes just a slight improvement, and really I think the conditions all around work to your advantage. The softish turf, getting out in front, that's always helpful, and then you got the terrific ride by Napravnik, and again another nice square price, $13.70.
Yeah, it was nice, very nice.
How about today, Verisimilitude in the maiden race?
We really like her. She hooked a Girl About Town last race, and that was a very, very tough spot. Of course, Girl About Town is an outstanding filly. She's in the first race today. We just hope that we can beat the shipper from California. I think it's Southern Sunshine.
It's notable, we looked at Bayard earlier as a second time out of the Asmussen barn. This one's second time out as well, and as
Correct.
you noted, he does very well second time out.
Well, he does good first time out, but if he doesn't, then he gets it in the second time for sure.
Here's a New York bred, obviously, with our New York Bred Showcase Day. And Clark, talk a little bit about getting involved in the regional program, in the state bred program.
I've been actively getting more involved. Last year, bought the stallion Bridgetown. I brought him up to Quest Royal. He had a breeding accident. It was a very sad thing, but we have a number of mares out here at Quest Royal with Barry Ostrager, who is my partner, Bridgetown, and we're really excited about the New York program. The purses, obviously, you can see from today's card, are outstanding. They're getting better and better quality from the ground up on the mare side. Good stallions coming in, so we're really excited about staying involved and becoming even more involved in New York.
Well, and this, for those that that question or don't understand, I every so often somebody will speak up and we're going to watch these New York breds. A guy like you standing mares and even being so interested in the purchase of Bridgetown from Mr. Melnick and going, it's one thing to have some homebreds in a state program. You obviously hoping that the future is going to be stable and had the opportunity. The Bridgetown story, got kicked by a mare and hemorrhaged, and it's remarkable because we were bringing My Nina Rose to him, and it happened like the day before, and just a tough break.
It was a freak accident and very sad for us, but we believe that the New York program is going to do very well. When you see people like Mr. Broman breeding to AP Indy and Medaglia d'Oro and raising them right here as New York breds, I think the quality of the stock is just getting better and better. And it's not going to be a matter of just a regional influence. I mean, they're going to run nationwide and have been recently.
Absolutely.
And Clark, before we let you go, Jimmy Jerkins is waiting out there in our green room. And before you sat down, you said from Tulsa. There's a little Jerkins tie-in to Tulsa.
Yeah, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Big Al Jerkins is the sportscaster in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jimmy's brother. And I'm sure he watched with glee yesterday from the OTB in Tulsa when they came across the wire 1-2 in almost a photo finish out.
Well, a great town. When I worked in Kansas City, I used to get down to Tulsa. Just absolutely loved it. It's a terrific opportunity to talk to Clark Brewster. 2 wins yesterday, Verisimilitude in today. It's been a spectacular meet for you and for the Asmussen barn. And Clark, we appreciate the visit very much.
My pleasure.
Continued success.
Thank you.
Clark Brewster. Then take a break. When we come right back, Jimmy Jerkins joins us to talk about yesterday's thrilling Travers and his 1-2 finish. Something special. Jimmy Jerkins next.
Thank you.
It's more than just a sports bar. It's Stadium Cafe. Located at 389 Broadway in Saratoga, it's the place to be for great times and great food. Their menu features everything from gourmet entrees to your favorite wraps and sandwiches. Or maybe you just want to grab a beer and catch the game. So what could be better than that? How about 2 Stadium Cafes? There's also the Westside Stadium, right up the road at 112 Congress Street. Same great menu, same great service. Whether you're hanging at the bar or just relaxing outside on their spacious covered patio, you'll always leave knowing you'll be back again.
We love, above all, the staff. We love Dave Harmon, and the food is fantastic.
Not 1, but 2. 112 Congress Street, 389 Broadway. Guaranteed to be a home run.
Stately Victor, final furlong of the Toyota Bluegrass, runs right by Patio Prado. Alan Garcia and Stately Victor, a 40-1 upset.
Dinah Zappa holding on. Dinah Zappa wins.
Horse of the Year Ghost Zapper, sire of 9 new stakes horses and 5 new stakes winners, including Grade 1 winner Stately Victor in 2010, standing at Adena Springs.
We're back on Loose on the Lead on this fun and busy Sunday morning, and it certainly was a busy morning for Jimmy Jerkins, undoubtedly, when you've got the 1-2 finishers in the Travers. You're the center of attention. We really appreciate Jimmy taking part of the morning to join us. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Jimmy, it's your second Travers and one of many accomplishments in your career. This, though, was kind of unique and special. Describe yesterday's experience.
Yeah, well, to have two horses to run in the Travers and to both of them to show up like they did simultaneously was just incredible to believe. I mean, especially, we're not a big outfit at all by today's standards. Just to have two to go over there, but the two to go over there and run big like that, it's just doesn't happen. It's really a day to remember, no question about it.
One of the things about it, and we're going to watch it whenever the boys want to roll the tape, Jimmy, it's one thing to have a horse like Wicked Strong, who you're maintaining his form and his season. Then to have an emergent young horse that is a little slower developing. I mean, if this isn't a showcase for your training abilities, I don't know what other opportunity is going to come.
Well, yeah, I know. We got lucky, though. I mean, a lot of neither colt, we didn't have any stumbling blocks along the way. Wicked's been unbelievably tough all year long. Hasn't missed a dance, and VE Day just started to really come around when we came back from Florida. In his training and his physical appearance, and I knew he had some, he had quality that we hadn't seen yet. But yeah, I mean, like I said, for them both to show up like that yesterday on that big day was just incredible.
How'd they come out of the race?
They both looked good this morning, walking. They were, I wouldn't say knocked out, but they were, Wicked was a little more docile than he usually is. But we'll see the real Wicked Strong by tomorrow, I'm sure.
We're going to watch the race here. First and foremost, Jimmy, the decision to aggressively go after Bayern. Talk about the strategy going in.
Well, we weren't going to aggressively. We were just going to let him run out of there on his own. And Rajiv says, I'll make a decision of what to do when we go by the stands. I'll be able to tell what's in everybody else's mind. And he did a good job. I thought he did a good job. He said, let Toneless go. Let Toneless do the little more of the dirty work and go after Bayern. We'll sit just off him. So I thought he did a good job splitting the difference. Looking on paper, at least after the last time our horse ran, you couldn't see him laying any worse than third anyway. It wasn't like anything unusual for him to be where he was if you looked at the form close enough. I didn't see any. There wasn't much speed in the race outside of. I mean, you wouldn't say Wicked, Strong, and Toneless are really speed horses. So, but they were more so than others in the field.
Well, and certainly Wicked Strong. I mean, if we go back to the Jim Dandy and even to the Wood Memorial, at that time when he was closer to the pace at Aqueduct, and then in the Jim Dandy where it also seemed like he was showing another dimension, it was certainly comfortable. Now here, as we head to the turn, you can see Rajiv is going to engage. Take us into it, and although nobody else noticed, here is the 4. Here is VE Day.
Yes,
now halfway through.
Yeah, he's made nice headway in saving ground all the way, which is what you have to do when you ride and come from behind, going a mile and a quarter. It's and the leaders come back to you. When the leaders start coming back to you, you have to have had saved your horse all the way. And that's just what Javier did. He couldn't have rode him any better.
And it's interesting. The frame froze for a minute, and this is at that moment. That was the first time that VE Day actually gets into the top 4. We see him at that point.
Yeah, and he just, I don't know. I still look like, it looked like Wicked was. I didn't see where it didn't look like Wicked was weakening much to me, and the other horse was making ground, but I didn't think he was gonna. He was definitely going to gain and make it close, but I didn't think he was going to get up to the last. He just lunged to the last couple of strides. He just lengthened out. It was just incredible.
A lot of talk before this race about Mr. Speaker and his background as a grass horse. VE Day, of course, an English Channel. It's been an unbelievable week for English Channel as a sire. 4 stake wins since last Saturday. The Pizza Man, VE Day, Heart to Heart, the Brian Lynch stake winner in the Better Talk Now, and Phil Oliver had the winner at Del Mar on Friday. Remarkable, but you talked about it after the Curlin, that this was a horse you always felt could be just as good on the dirt.
Well, just by the way he trains in the morning, you know. I mean, I guess every once in a while a turf horse will fool you, even if they work good on the dirt. Then you run them on the dirt and they don't run very well. But he just trained so well. It was hard for me to believe that he couldn't run on the dirt. You know, and he doesn't mind any kickback in his face, which is a lot of horses that don't run on the dirt, they just can't stand that kickback, and he never minded that. So I felt confidence running him on the dirt.
It's obviously early yet. It's only the day after. But any plans yet? And you noted in the press conference afterward that it can be a little bit awkward with 2 different owners to face each other. So you try not to. But when you're playing at the highest level of the game, sometimes you have to do it. When they're putting $1.25 million up, you take your shots. What do you think is next for both of these horses?
Well, I really couldn't tell you. You know, the only thing that doesn't really appeal to me much is the Pennsylvania race. I don't know. I would rather keep them at home, you know, if I could. And it is a little close too after a grueling race like this. So I mean, there's some incentives involved with going there, but I think for both of them it would be best if we left that race alone at least.
Going to ask can't have this conversation, Eb, without talking about your father and this summer without him on hand. And of course he was with us in the red jacket ceremony by video. It's been a tough month for him, Jimmy, losing Elizabeth and his sister. This has got to be really heartening for him to watch you, and your sister was down there with him yesterday. Talk about the Chief.
Yeah, you know, like you said, it was a rough month for him, and you know, I could see it. You know, I hadn't seen him in so long, and I thought, you know, watching the video, you could like kind of see it in his face that he's had a hard time. But he sounds good he sounded good on the phone, and you know, he's a tough man. They don't make him like that anymore. He bounces back.
Well, a lot of people, I think, hopeful that we might have him back in New York for the fall.
I don't know. I don't think any really soon, because I can't see him coming back at least before next spring. I really can't. You know, he's situated down there, and he's got some. You know, he's got some friends, and you know, it would be really hard for him to, you know, to get upended right now from down there. Like you never know. He might have a horse or two that'll make him want to come up next spring. You know, that's always has a lot to do with it. But I think for at least for now, he's happy where he is.
Well, and of course, for you, a tremendous summer already. We got 3 going today. We can talk about in a second, but saddling house rules for him last week had to be a great feeling for everybody.
Yeah, she disappointed us in the Mother Goose. It looked like a terrific opportunity to get a Grade 1 placing. You know, it looked like, and she didn't do it, and it really, you know, it was really incredibly disappointing to me. And, you know, my dad had shipped him up to me. We wanted to get that done, but it just didn't work out. And for Mr. Shields, been so loyal to my dad, and it would have been nice. But you got to look at it. You know, you got to just try to get her back doing good, and try to build her back up to where she was before. And I thought the other day was a nice spot to get her confidence back, and she certainly won easy enough to where she's acted like she's, you know, she likes racing again.
No, it counts for a lot, undoubtedly. Today, got to ask you, you got Hard to Stay Not Go, who's got a huge shot in the Seeking the Ante later in the Albany. FNX, very interesting as a price play in the Albany, and I think we've also got Star grazing as well in the Fleet Indian.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the 2-year-old filly certainly should have the best shot of all. She's got big speed. at least right now, she looks like it might be a little hard to harness. She doesn't know much but go. But she, she acts like she kept on rolling along last time. So there's more speed in there this time. But I like Junior's got great hands with horses like that. More so than a lot of jockeys. I like him on kind of high-headed rank horses. He seems to have a little. The way he sits there and the way he places his hands, he seems to do a better job with those kind than a lot of jockeys, and that's why I chose him to start with. And like I said, I don't think she's going to take. I don't want him seesawing on her by any means, but I think he's got a way of keeping a horse, a rank horse like that, a little more settled than the average guy.
He's strong. He's got.
Well, it's not strength though, because there's a lot of strong jockeys, but some just manhandle him a little too much. You gotta have strength and finesse too to do that. Mostly finesse, and he seems to. I really like him on horses like that.
And she banged out a nice bullet workout back on the 19th.
Yeah, she was.
Speed, yeah.
she was rolling. I mean, I had to put my hand up to my exercise, my main exercise rider that gets on all the good horses for me. I always have him to look up at me where I tell him where I'm going to be standing. Most of the times at the 8th pole or maybe at the 3/16th pole, and I put my hand up to say, can't go any faster than this. So she's going to go 45 because she went the first quarter and like my father would say, like nothing flat, and she did. She was gone. But then he just sat on her the rest of the way, which was good. Still was a very fast work, but as fast as she is, and she's a big, strong, strong, strapping thing. So I think if any horse could handle a fast work close to a race like that, it's her.
Wow, Jimmy, it should be a fun day. Star grazing in the 8th and FNX in the 10th, and the 4th Jerkins brother is going to be on hand today. Chuck Simon in town.
Oh yeah, Chuck. I didn't get. Yeah, he is. He's a Jerkins at heart.
Yeah, exactly. You need help. If you need help saddling, Jimmy, so delighted for you and for Mrs. Bryant and for Centennial. It's still a tremendous success for them, but this was one of those happy outcomes all over the grounds.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Jimmy Jerkins, everybody. And, of course, Clark Brewster winning a pair as well yesterday, and Lenny Shulman from the Blood Horse. I want to thank everybody that joined us.
A full show, as they all are up here at Saratoga. We have one more Sunday morning. Next Sunday, we'll be back in here at 10 a.m. with Loose on the Lead. Don't forget questions, comments, suggestions, looseonthelead@yahoo.com. We would love to hear from you, so send in and make those comments, questions, or suggestions. Going to wrap things up again. We're here every Sunday morning from 10 until 11 a.m. Enjoy your afternoon at the races. Let's all cash a few tickets. We'll see you again next week.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.